Special Prosecutor Jack Smith has added 3 new indictments against Donald Trump in the classified documents case. In fact, an explosive allegation in this indictment says that Donald Trump specifically asked an employee of his Mar-a-Lago club to delete security camera footage that was being sought after by investigators. It is a 60-page superseding indictment. They also have charged a 3rd defendant, Carlos de Oliveira, according to Politico, they say he joined Trump as well as his aide, Walt Nada, to seek to destroy the security footage. Candace Kelly, this 60-page superseding indictment, look, they told Trump this was coming. He came on and said he was going to be indicted again. This is obviously a huge deal for them to have evidence that he ordered the destruction of video footage.
Absolutely, Roland. Now we're up to 40 charges in this new indictment that came out this evening. And really, I think what the feds are doing is they are looking for somebody to turn. Walt Nada has not done it so far, or else we would have heard of something in terms of Walt Nada making a deal, right? We haven't heard that. Now we've got Oliveira, and he's the one who's now on the chopping block. Look at the last names of these people involved. Would you be surprised, or would anybody be surprised that this would be something perhaps targeted? You have Latinos involved, who have families, who may be in a situation where they can threaten things over their head in order to come forth and say, listen, let's make a deal because we know that you are closely associated with these people in your life who may have immigrated in a way that is not proper or maybe here illegally. And so I think what they are doing strategically is little by little trying to figure out who they can add to the case. And they probably actually know who they can add to the case to see who we can turn. It happened with Michael Cohen, who was his staunch supporter, but he eventually turned. That's what I think they are doing right now, adding people onto this case because they have to turn somebody, because so far nobody has done it.
This right here, Reese, is greatly significant because, again, you have the previous indictments. And look, I don't care what anybody says. Republicans can try all they want to say, oh, he's being targeted, he's being harassed. When the feds have evidence that you ordered the destruction of video that was being sought by prosecutors, look, that is a grave felony charge, and it does not bode well for Donald Trump.
No, definitely not. I mean, obstruction, anything related to obstructing an investigation is going to land you in serious trouble. And it also goes to show his state of mind and his guilt. It's evidence that he's willfully doing these things, which is why he's getting charged with willful detention of these classified documents. Otherwise, why are you trying to conceal the fact that you had these documents in the first place? It would have been very easy for him to simply, first of all, not take them in the first place, because that's what he shouldn't have done, and for him to give them back when they asked him to return the documents. This did not start out as a criminal charge in terms of the National Archives just saying, hey, you have our documents, give it back. And so the fact that Trump decided to go down this path, this is a crisis of his own making and one of the Republican Party, because this is at the point now where Trump has no choice but to carry on, try to get back in that White House so he can pardon himself. He can't rely on any of these Republicans claiming that they're going to pardon him. Some of them won't go on record and say that. And we know for damn sure Biden ain't going to pardon his ass. And so this is something that now is becoming more and more dire for Trump to continue on and taking the whole Republican Party down with him.
Greg Carr, they can spend all their time talking about Hunter Biden, all this sort of stuff like this here. But guess what? You got Thug in Chief who's sitting over here facing these charges. And Greg, check this out. This video has went up today. They are installing today, about 4 hours ago, barricades outside of the Fulton County Courthouse. That tells you, remember, Fannie Willis told judges not to have any trials in the first 2 weeks of August. If you're Donald Trump and Lindsey Graham, you better watch out. Looks like Fannie is about to drop the hammer on Trump and all of the folks who are involved in him trying to rig and steal the 2020 election.
No question, Roland. We're counting on the young cats down there in the ATL to do the remix now. Let's get a bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when Penny come out? Come on, Dirty. Y'all got to come through. I'm looking for the young boys to put the remix video, because Fonny getting ready to drop that bomb. There's no question about it. And they putting up the barricades, but don't worry about it. It's gonna be some remixes out there. But I couldn't agree more with everything Candace and Reese have said. And y'all know Candace Kelly know what she's talking about. This is they gonna try to flip Carlos. Carlos was part of Lago, y'all. And then he moved up to head of maintenance. And they got him on the camera moving boxes. And then he turned around and called the cat from IT right after the prosecutors subpoenaed Trump's company. They got Carlos on the phone talking to IT, and now you got gaps in the video. I agree with you, Candace. I think they might be a terror Carlos. Carlos Oliveira. Right. On heading the protections of Donald Trump. So, they know what they're doing. But come on, y'all. Come on, ATL. Come through. We need the Bad Boys remix on Fonnie Willis, because she about to do her star turn.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, Candace, I don't think Donald Trump and Lindsey Graham are going to be playing Ludacris and Jermaine Dupri's "Welcome to Atlanta" theme song.
No, not at all. Not at all. He's preparing right now for what that tweet is going to read, so he can come in defense and try to get the public on his side. But look at all these numbers. He's got Fannie that's coming. He just finished, with the rape case, and that still is ongoing. We've got the fraudulent case in New York City that's coming up and beefing up his properties. He's got so many cases coming up that I don't see how he can even think about running for president. I'm telling you right now that they have the evidence. In other words, what we're seeing with the gaps on the video and the phone calls, they've taken Oliveria's phone. We already have that type of evidence. They're looking behind the scenes, like Greg said. They got to make a deal somewhere. They're trying to figure out who is going to be our star witness in all of this. Because once that star witness comes in one of those cases, then all the other cases are going to come down like dominoes. Because once that one case is out there, people are going to be perceiving him in an absolutely different way. And he won't be this, Donald Trump, I'm tightly clad with everybody behind me and nobody can penetrate me. It's going to be a different story. Fannie is coming for the remix, like Greg said.
And look here, Reese. Again, Republicans, Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of these idiots, they can try as they might. Guess what? You keep pounding, you keep throwing body blows, you keep throwing haymakers. At the end of the day, you're gonna fall. And what is Donald Trump scared the most of? He is scared, as Candace said and Greg has said, of people flipping. And guess what?
Yeah.
A lot of those fake electors, they are flipped in Michigan. Flipping in Georgia. And these folks like, man, damn that, I ain't going to prison for your ass.
Right. Nobody has put more white people in danger of being indicted than Donald J. Trump. I mean, he has taken all these white folks and some Latinos down with him on his way to jail, short of a pardon. I mean, this is absolutely astounding, the level of criminality that he is caught with, because we didn't know he was a criminal. We know he was a degenerate. He made that very clear throughout his entire career. All these bankruptcies, all the people he screwed over, his racism, all of his isms that he has displayed, and his incompetence as a president of the United States. So none of this should be a shock, except for the fact that a white man finally is being held accountable for his crimes. He went too far, too many times, and now it's coming back to bite him in the ass. And I'm glad that you mentioned Michigan. They are putting the screws on these folks all across the country so that they don't even think about doing this again in 2024. January 6th commission that Jack Smith is, or who, I don't know exactly who it is actually for the January 6th thing, but they have a grand jury that's going to indict Donald Trump's ass. He already announced that. The indictments haven't come yet, but he knows that's coming. He is in deep shit. And as much as you want to say that the Republicans want to try to deflect with Hunter Biden is not on the ballot. Donald Trump is trying to be on the ballot. And unfortunately for the Republican Party, the voters of the Republican Party, the 30% of the 15% of the people who vote in the primaries are still with Trump. So they all have to still be with Trump. And to be honest, they don't have any real galvanizing alternatives. And that's why Trump continues to gain ground on all of his competitors in the Republican primaries.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to turn.
When you're sitting here, when you look at this whole deal right here, Greg, and you start looking at, again, the actions here. You take the case of this guy, Oliveira. He's the one who drained the Mar-a-Lago pool that flooded the room where the videotapes were being held.
Yep.
Bro,
Yep.
really? And again, if you're working for this dude, look at Michael Cohen. We could go on and on and on. Donald Trump has wanted people to lie for him, to get in trouble for him, and he's not going to sit here and save you. And what these idiots are now realizing, and I'm telling you, they will be dumb. He could try to promise, like the tax case, the guy with the Trump organization, where they were paying his legal fees and everything else. Guess what? The rest of these people, they don't have multi-million-dollar deals, and that guy kept his mouth shut, okay? And I'm telling you right now, I just can't wait to see Fox News and Newsmax and OAN. Oh, well, what's going to be the new one now? I can't wait to hear them try to spin, oh, no, he didn't do anything wrong by ordering the destruction of surveillance tapes.
No, I mean, but again, I mean, just to reiterate, I think Candace is on to something. You're talking about a guy who is notorious for not paying his employees. It's one thing when you're a lawyer. Yes, it's one thing when you are an accountant. It's another thing when you may or may not have papers in the United States. And I wasn't joking. I mean, New York Times reporting, Carlos de Oliveira, he was literally parking cars at Mar-a-Lago. You've got people who are easily flipped because you're going lower into the class structure. And so I think Kansas is onto something. I mean, what they have identified is this is a cat who's got a lot to lose. And as you say, Roland, probably doesn't have a bank account, certainly can't hire a high-powered attorney. Now, what will be interesting is to see which of these cats come out the shadows and maybe tries to pick up or doesn't try to pick up his legal bills. Because, he's doing what he's told so that he can continue to earn a check there at Mar-a-Lago and maybe even be paid under the table. He's not asking any questions. He's moving documents. He's draining a pool. He makes a call to somebody in IT to talk about maybe something can be done about this footage. Now, I'm sure he knows somewhere in the back of his mind, because, look, we're black in America. And if you're black in America beyond the top 1% or whatever, you probably have either seen on television or heard somebody, your cousin or somebody down the street, somebody in your community say, hey, man, hold this for me. Man, I'm not holding that for you. In other words, we all have been in a situation or know somebody who's been in a situation where it's like they ask you to hold something, but if you've been around more than 5 minutes, you know not to do it. But what happens when your back's against the wall? There's a lot of people work at Mar-a-Lago whose backs are against the wall economically, and maybe the feds have found one of them who will be easier to flip than an attorney or an accountant in the Trump organization.
Mm-hmm.
Well, folks, again, as I said, we showed you the video and it's circulating on social media. They are putting up barricades outside of the Fulton County Courthouse. That could mean, folks, that in the next day or two, that Fannie Willers, the Fulton County DA, could be announcing her RICO indictments against potentially Donald Trump, Senator Lindsey Graham, and many others who were involved in trying to corrupt the system and steal almost 12,000 votes in order for him to win Georgia.